Hello everybody, my name is Mitch and today we are going over UFC Fight Night Gane versus Volkov. It happens on June 26th. We're doing the full card fight predictions. If you're new here, we go over the picks first and then we'll talk about the reasons why after. So let's get started. We have Andre Fili, Julia Avila, Damir Hadzovic, Ike Villanueva, Renato Moicano, Ramazan Ameev, Charles, Rosa, Raoni Barcelos, skipped that, Shavkat Rock Manov, Tim Means, Danilo Marques, Oven St. Preux, and Alexander Volkov. Those are my picks. Let's talk about the whys. Alright, here are the odds for the fights. Andre Fili versus Daniel Pineda. Andre Touchy Fili is one of the more funny nicknames in the UFC. I like Andre's side. I feel like he's young, yet he has a lot of experience with some pretty high level names. We see Calvin Kattar going unanimous decision, Michael Johnson. I feel like that's good octagon time with some, high level fighters. On the other end, we have Daniel Pineda. Daniel Pineda recently loses to Cub Swanson. In that fight, he showed that he had really good leg kicks. It did seem like he got kind of tired, and then it ended up in him getting finished. I'm curious if that's going to be a trend, but at any rate, I'm going with Andre Fili with this one. Julia Avila versus Julia Stolorenko. For Avila's side of things, she is coming off of a loss, but before that, she has some good UFC wins, one of them being a finish against Gina Mazzani here. On the other side, we see Julia. She shows in her last fight that she's really more of a grappler first. Her striking didn't seem that great. With that being said, I think that Julia may have more to offer than Yana Kunitskaya did on the feet. I do think Julia is going to give her problems standing up. I'm going with Julia Avila with this one. Yancy Medeiros versus Damir Hadzovic. I did go over this fight. It was originally going to be on the Garbrandt versus Font card. Essentially, Yancy's just not looked very great recently, especially in this Lando Venata fight, although Lando Venata is a very good opponent. I am going with Damir with this bout. MARCIN PRACHNIOM versus Ike Villanueva. MARCIN PRACHNIOM does not have a very good UFC record, although he is coming off of a win against Khalil Roundtree. On the other hand, we have Ike Villanueva, who I've been pretty impressed with. This fight he loses against Jordan Wright was a doctor stoppage where he honestly did weather the storm, but the damage had been done, and the cut was too bad deemed by the doctor. After that, he comes off of a knockout win. I feel like he's durable in there. He is 37, although the light heavyweight division is built a little different. We have a 38-year-old champ. By example, I'm going with Ike Villanueva. Renato Moicano versus Jai Herbert. Renato Moicano is one of those young guys that's had a lot of experience with some high-level competition, as we can see here. With that being said, I'm not sure if Jai Herbert has the experience to match it, but we are going to find out. But I'm going with Renato Moicano. I just feel like he's been in there with too many monsters to not be able to deal with Jai Herbert. Ramazan Ameev versus Warlley Alves. Ramazan Ameev is Russian. He's fighting out of Dagestan, Russia. In his last 3 fights, he's attempted 30 takedowns, so I feel like you know where this is going. On the other end, we have Warlley Alves. He's 14-4. He's a good fighter. I like watching his fights. They're pretty exciting, although I feel like the writing is on the wall with this one. It's hard not to lean the wrestlers, especially the Russian wrestlers who are proven to go for many takedowns, getting the decision wins, 2 out of 3 of them. I've seen fights where the wrestler will win the first 2 rounds and they're completely gassed in the third, but the damage is done and it's too late. They've already got 2 rounds in the bank and they win the fight. I'm going with Ramazan Ameev. It's hard to pick against the wrestler. Raoni Barcelos versus Timur Valiev. On Barcelos' side, he's always shown us great takedowns, ground and pound, heavy hands, heavy kicks. He's undefeated in the UFC, so very high prospect there. On the other side for Timur, he is honestly a tough bastard in his own right. This is really just a pick for Raoni Barcelos. Perhaps I'm looking past his opponent, but I really feel like Barcelos is up there and deserves to be fighting with the elites of the division. But we will see how this one goes. I'm very excited for this bout. We're going with Raoni Barcelos. Charles Rosa versus Justin James. Charles Rosa has really just looked better against higher competition and fights with American top team as well. We have Shane Burgos, Bryce Mitchell, Yair Rodriguez. On the other end, we have Justin James. He's 1-3 in the UFC. A win against Frank Camacho. Gavin Tucker's tough. I mean, he's got tough opponents as well, but I just feel like Charles Rosa has dealt with a little higher competition so far. I'm going with Charles Rosa. Michael Prazeres versus Shavkat Rakhmadov. This is one of those fights where I feel like they're feeding one of the old dogs to the new prospects. On Michael's side, we have 39 years old, although he has, done very well in the UFC, essentially all wins besides his most recent bout. Here we have Shavkat on his side of things. I'm pretty sure he's undefeated in the UFC. His debut was against Alex Oliveira. That was a pretty impressive bout where Oliveira, I think, goes for a takedown and then essentially ends up in a guillotine choke. Looking promising as a prospect, 26 years old. We'll see how it goes. I'm going with the young fighter in this one, Shavkat Rakhmadov. Nicholas Dalby versus Tim Means. I feel like Tim Means just fought, and perhaps I'm being a fan, but I am going with Tim Means with this bout. For Nicholas Dalby, he's coming off of some good wins and a few no contests too. A win against Daniel Rodriguez. I'm hoping that Tim Means is going to go ahead and defy MMA math because he lost to Daniel Rodriguez here. I think that if Tim Means can avoid the takedown and clinch attempts by Nicholas Dalby, he should be able to win the stand-up. We'll see how it goes. I am excited for this fight. I'm going with Tim Means. Danilo Marques versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. For Danilo's side, he likes to kind of pressure, try to take you down, ground and pound, stuff like that. I feel like that's a perfect matchup for him against Kennedy. In his last fight, we kind of saw that if you try to push the pace, he'll kind of back up. His defense seemed to be lacking. I'm not sure what he's going to have to offer if Danilo just moves forward and goes for his takedowns. So I think he's going to be able to complete them and get 2 out of the 3 rounds here. OSP versus Maxim Grishin. I'm really not too sure about this fight. I'm looking at it. None of them really have too great of records. I do think OSP has shown a little more, at least from what I can find. I don't know too much about these fights before the UFC organization, but at any rate, I'm going with OSP with this one. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. For Cyril Gane's side, he's looked pretty impressive. I am excited to see how he grows in the heavyweight division. My only problem with it is I haven't seen enough, so I don't know how good he really is. Things he's done in the UFC, I feel like Volkov are things that Volkov can compete with. Recently beats JDS and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Really outclasses Rozenstruik in this fight against JDS. Does get the finish. I think he might have gotten rocked a few times in the first round, though, if I remember correctly. I'm curious what that looks like if Volkov is in there instead of an older JDS. Perhaps I do just feel bad for Volkov ever since he lost this fight to Derek Lewis. He was winning for 2.5 rounds, if not more, and just at the last second gets knocked out by Derek Lewis. I think if he can't avoid a knockout, he does win the stand-up. I'm curious if Gane is going to engage in clinches, and also if he will do a lot better in the stand-up than I see coming. I'm pretty excited for this heavyweight bout. I'm kind of expecting it to go to the distance, and with that being said, I do like Volkov. Thanks for watching this video. Feel free to leave a thumbs up if you liked it, and leave a comment about, anything you want to talk about. I always like reading through those and interacting with you guys. As always, a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far. That's the most helpful thing you can do for me, and I really do appreciate it. I try to post every week, so if you subscribe, then you can see those faster. But anyway, that's it for me. I will see you guys Saturday.